Look at this. Check this out. The Monterrio Gibson. Yo, what's happening? It's your boy Jay Hustler. Hit the like button coming through the door. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to it. I want to get into this about the Fedex driver that been shot at in Mississippi in Brookhaven. I found this clip off of the Michi X network. It's Michi X on YouTube. She did give the curators permission to use it because she wants to help push the story. And I feel like the story needs to be put out there too, because the media is not pushing this story. It's more like the Ahmaud Arbery situation. But I want to play a clip from this interview from Michi X. I salute them, Michi X, and I want to play this clip and get right into it. And y'all tell me what y'all think about it. Let me get into this.
Can we just go back and you explain to me what happened that day?
All right, so it was just like a normal day for me. Like I'm just delivering my packages. I usually start like early in the morning around 7, and I end around the same time at night. So it was like around 7:30. It was already kind of dark when I went out there, but I had accidentally put in the wrong address in my GPS or whatever. So I was actually about to leave the neighborhood and mark it as an incorrect address. But as I was leaving, I seen a house that may have had the correct address to my left on the mailbox. So I checked my I forgot what the thing is called. Leo. I checked my Leo, which is my work device, and just to confirm the address, and it was correct. So I turned around in this yard. I proceeded back to the correct address to deliver the package. I hopped out, put the package down, got back in. As I'm proceeding to leave the yard, it's a white pickup truck coming from a house in the background on the same plot of land. So they get like extremely close to me. They start blowing their horn. At this point, I'm just thinking like I'm in their way. I proceeded to try to leave the driveway, and like the guy tried to cut me off, but my instincts kicked in. I swerved around him. I drive down about 2 or 3 houses. There's another guy standing in the middle of the street holding a gun, pointing at my window like this. He just like mouthing the word stop. He's doing his hand like this. So at this point I'm still in like survival mode. I shake my head, no, I have behind the steering wheel, swerve around him as well. When I swerve around him though, he's up firing shots into the back of my van. You know, then I drive down the road. I'm still going at this point. I drive down the road as I'm proceeding to leave the neighborhood. One of my bosses actually called me. She heard some of the shots going off. So she told me to get back to the station as fast as I can. I start heading that way. Like I'm not stopping at no lights, nothing. I noticed the white pickup truck still behind me at this point, and they chased me all the way out the city to the highway. After I make it to the highway, I drive down about 10, 15 minutes. Then that's when I like started feeling a little bit safer because I ain't seen no behind me no more. And I called my boss or whatever. I let him know what was going on, and he was like, "We'll file a police report tomorrow." I knew like if I had to wait until the next day, they was gonna ask me like, "Why you ain't coming in tonight?" So I went ahead and took it upon myself to call them. Once I called them, I reached the dispatch and I started telling him like half my story before he cut me off. He asked me like, "Were you at this address right here?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." He was like, "Well, we just got a report of a suspicious person coming from the address." And I said, "Sir, I'm not a suspicious person. I'm a FedEx worker. I was just doing my job." And I had told him that they shot him as well. He was like, well, they didn't tell us that, of course they were. So I had at some point in the conversation, I told him that me and my boss would be coming up there in the morning. So I asked him, can I finish my story? He was like, well, if y'all come up here tomorrow, I'm gonna just take your name down and give it to my supervisor. At that point, I went back to the station. The supervisor who actually called me while I was going on, we checked the back of the van. It was like bullet holes all in the back of the van. Inside packages that was like right behind me, all type of stuff like that. So we had to fill out a report for work. And once I did it, they let me go home. I came back the next day and we went to the police station to fill out a report as well. And when I got there, they wasn't taking me serious. I dealt with three officers. The first one, he was like taking down my statement, and I was just telling him everything that was going on, but he kept switching on my words. So I tell him like, "This is what happened." He was like, "So this is what you're saying happened?" I'm like, "No, sir, this is what happened." He did that about 3 or 4 times before we got the story right. After that, it was a second officer who was like basically observing the conversation. He asked me, he was like, "Well, let me ask, did you do anything to make them think you were suspicious?" Which,
Wow.
of course, I was just doing my job. But I told him like I was just doing my job. If that made them think I'm suspicious, that's on me. And even if I did, citizens can take the law into their own hands regardless. But the third officer I dealt with, he actually made me write down the statement as to what happened in my own words. After we did that, we went back to the crime scene. The first house we went to was the house where the white pickle truck came from. And they got a few statements from that house. We went to the next house, which is the house of the shooter. And I guess they tried to get statements for somebody there. While we was there, it's like what the actual shooter happened. They was looking for bullet holes or whatever. And bullet shells. They were looking for bullet shell casings. And like at one point he came up to the car and he was like, "Well, you see that we trying, right?" And I'm like, why he asked me that? And I was like, okay. So he actually asked me to get out the car at that point if I wanted to help them look for bullet cases, which I did. After that, we didn't find any. Of course, they were trying to hide it, but we went to the job with the dude who actually shot at me, and he was first denying that he shot at me. He said he didn't shoot at me, which is why we didn't find no bullet shells, except for one case that I had in the back of my truck when I went back to the station. I didn't mention that. But that's the only one that we found. He said I tried to run out with his dad, which is untrue. So they gave him like a certain amount of time to come in, which I never seen them not arrest somebody right away. But they let him come in when he wanted to, which was like 8 days later. And like we just left that day, nothing was done the following day. And that's basically the initial story to how everything was happening. And we have been protesting as well. And we have received like police backlash. They've been protecting the victim of the shooters more than they've been trying to protect me or whatever. And they were getting us like all type of roadblocks. So just like we went to the courthouse and everything. So they're trying to roadblock us, and it's just like a long hard trial right now, but it's okay.
Okay, okay. So in clarification is you're telling me that after you were shot at like this, you talked to the police, they even asked you to get out of the car and do their job after you've been through this traumatic situation, and they want you to look for shell casings.
Yes, ma'am.
And then they told them to come in when they're ready to speak to them instead of arresting them.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me just ask you a question that I know that is probably the obvious answer that you're going to give. If the colors and the races were reversed, do you think that they would have given you the opportunity to come in when you were ready?
They would have came and got me that night. It would have been
Absolutely.
following that. Also, if I didn't mention, they actually did end up turning themselves in like 8 days later. But they didn't even stay in jail an hour. They got up like within the next hour.
Now, do you know what are their charges that they're being charged with?
Conspiracy and aggravated assault.
That's it. So
Yeah.
no hate
No
crime,
hate crime.
no attempted murder.
No attempted murder. We've been trying to get those charges raised, but like I said, we met with like a whole bunch of roadblocks. So
Okay. And then again, the police are not cooperating with you. They're treating you as though you're the bad guy, right?
this is exactly what's going on.
That's what-
All right, so when I first started, I came straight down. I was looking for 427 because like this is what I put in, but it don't exist. So I came straight down here. I'm looking to the sides. When we go down, you're gonna see it say 417 and 405. I ain't see 427, so I thought it was an incorrect address. I had turned around. I came and I had stopped right here. Like after I seen the address, I had stopped by right here in this area or whatever. And I had checked my Leo. Of course, I put in just to double check to see if it was the right address. And it was, so it ended up being that one. So I turned around right here and I had drove back down to this down here so we can go to this house and I finish telling the story.
Mom, how did this situation make you feel? If you want to go back and just kind of tell me, like, when did you find out that this happened to your son?
I found out the same night that it actually happened. He called me, and I thought it was a joke. But when he sent me the actual footage and the pictures of the bullet holes, the packages that were shot up, I knew it was true. it made me feel very, very angry. And the reason why it made me feel angry is because I had thoughts going in my head as to the lies I would have to hear if he did not make it, if he
Mhm.
did stop and they killed him. Um, we know bullets, guns probably would have been planted on him. Uh, he shot at me, or he stole something, which was one of the things that they did say. He stole a package. How he stole a
Mhm.
package, being a FedEx driver? Why would he steal a package? And I mean, it's just crazy because the police chief there, Kenny Collins, is black, but our skin folks ain't kin folks.
Absolutely.
So he actually is upholding them. They have been giving these guys 24-hour surveillance since last 2 weeks ago, Saturday before our last protest. They have been having 24-hour surveillance.
So they've been giving the criminals in this case, they've been giving them protection. Is
Yes,
this
they
what you're
have.
saying?
Yes.
Hey, I'm Sherelle. I'm the commander of Jackson New Black Panther Party. And we had to step in to take the role of being security for D. Monterrio for the simple fact that the police was protecting the suspect but not the victim. So they have tried to intimidate him, following him, different things like that. So we're having to step in by any means necessary to make sure that this brother is protected.
They have been getting 24-hour protection.
Wow. This just keeps getting even more disrespectful as we go, right?
Yes, but the thing is, the kidding part is that two of the guys that's on the police force are their cousin. They are their cousin. One of them actually
Okay.
stepped down. The leading investigator actually stepped down because he said it was a conflict of interest, which made them cousins. And they also found out that the assistant chief is supposed to be his cousin. So they are trying to sweep it under the rug, but we're not going to let it happen.
Okay.
We're definitely not going to let it happen.
Out and a lot of skeletons in Brookhaven. You know, a lot of untold stories that mothers and parents and fathers and people have been crying out for years to let Brookhaven know that they're not doing what they're supposed to do as a community. So we stand strong with D. Monterrio because this is part of his wishes, is to make sure that everyone else who has been denied justice through Brookhaven's system, that they get justice, and the community is starting to speak. So we rally behind him and his mother and the community of Brookhaven in support.
Let me ask the both of you. Um, you've heard of Ahmaud Arbery's case. Yes. Um, at what point or at any point did his case cross your mind?
Instantly.
It was actually brought to my attention a lot later because at first I was really just like reluctant about speaking up, but then people started telling me they was like, your case is kind of similar to his. The only difference is like you survived and he didn't.
Mhm.
So at that point, I feel like it was my responsibility to like speak up for the people who couldn't, because it's very rare we find a person who survives anyway. So that's why.
Let me ask you. I heard you say on the news report that I watched. You said that something about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard something where your company FedEx, they wanted to send you back to work in the same neighborhood
They did.
after it
Actually,
happened.
yeah,
Tell me
actually,
about that.
so what happened was, as soon as we filed a police report, I had to go back and finish that same route, whatever. Like as soon as I left the station. So I think I may have finished it that day. I think I went back the following day, and like that's when I started realizing like I was having problems mentally functioning at work because I started like having real bad anxiety. My heart started racing. I just started feeling real uncomfortable. So I called my boss. I let him know how I was feeling, and I had left. I had left that day. But yeah, it was basically they sent me back on the same route, and I was expected to work. So
They just sent you back on the day, so they not offering you. They didn't offer you any time off in dealing with what you're dealing with,
yeah,
anything like that,
originally they offered me like 2 weeks off without up to 2 weeks off without pay. And then,
without pay.
yeah, at some point, like after everything started like bubbling up, when all the news reports was coming out, they started trying to offer me like 3 weeks to pay, which wasn't like even my full salary or whatever.
Mhm.
Probably not even a quarter of my salary, but they offered me like 3 weeks to pay or something like that. Debt pass. They have paid for the therapy, like through an employee assistance program, so they are supposed to be doing that. We currently like working on the workers' comp thing, but originally it was just like up to 2 weeks off without pay. Like, you know, even though I have insurance and everything, it was gonna be without pay for whatever reason. I guess it doesn't qualify as under like unless you're like physically injured, something like that.
So it doesn't account for the trauma and the emotional injury that
That's what
that
I'm thinking because, like I said, if it did, they would have paid me like no problem.
Okay.
It does. It just didn't want to pay. It's just FedEx want to stay out the limelight.
Of it. Well, it's probably not a good. If they want to stay out the limelight, they should probably do the right thing. Because I heard they weren't doing the right thing. That's why we brought that question
They're
up.
not.
You know, let me ask you, Mom, as a black mom, not just a mom, because I think it's a difference in being a mom in this country and being a black mom in this country. Um, Speak from the perspective for me of being a black mother and in this country knowing how we are treated. And we see a lot of these things, every day we saw the Mount Aubrey case, there's always things left and right that are going on. So many don't even make the news. As we spoke, your son's situation was in the news for a moment. It's very quiet now, they're not talking about it mainstream.
Well, there you have it, people. I want to give too much into the thing, but y'all run over to Miss Michi X network on the Fire Stick, Apple TV, stuff like that. She got a lot of good information about this brother, man. Monterrio. Salute to you, brother. Good to see you. Glad to see you live another day, because that was just what they was waiting to do. But I just got this off of Michi X page, and she wanted to spread the information and the news about what they're doing down there in the system down there. So that obviously all of them is tied in with the family. So you know how that's rolling, especially, and that's a racist, very racist state. So y'all look into this and push this information out. And she, like I say, she wanting other creators to push this story out because the media is not giving this any attention. So, y'all leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Y'all run on over to Michi X page and get the full story from that. I think needs to be a heavy light on this story. So y'all leave the comments down below, and I'll get with y'all next time.